And how do you see us improving our contribution in relation to global education? Now, the world is complex. There are many things that are important. But if I had to choose one single thing in which to invest for peace and security, I would say education. If there was one single thing in which we should invest to reduce the dramatic inequalities in the world, I would say education. If I would have to think about one single thing in which you should invest to stop the destruction of our planet, I would say education. And if there is one thing only in which we could invest in order to make sure that human rights prevail in our societies, I would say education. The problem is that the education systems that we have around the world are not fit for purpose in order to respond to the four challenges that I referred. And I would like to mention two aspects. Of course, there are many others. Two aspects. One is education is not reducing inequality. Education is increasing inequality in the world. If one looks at the investment made by European countries as an average for each student and compare with the investment made by African countries as an average for each student, the difference is appalling. Appalling. Which means that rich countries are providing their children, their young people, with in general, a much better education than developing countries. And this will be a factor to widen the gap that already exists between developed and developing countries. And then in each country, we see education as a factor of inequality. In the United States, the children of rich people usually go largely to the best universities. From the best universities, they will get the best jobs. From the best jobs, they will become richer. The children of poor families in this country will have access to low-grade education, not preparing them for the labor market and making sure that the inequality persists from generation to generation and even amplifies as we see technologies developing with the rhythm that we are all aware. So the central first question we need to reverse is to transform education from a generator of inequality, transmitting it from generation to generation, to a factor of reducing inequality by providing the same rights to everybody and creating the conditions for equal access to the benefits of development. And second aspect is in relation to the nature of the education. Of course, there is a central question, which is the quality of the education. That is obvious for all of us. But it's the nature of education. The truth is that in many of our education systems, we learn about things, we learn sometimes to do things, but the things we learn will probably not be relevant anymore a few years afterwards. So the most important thing is not to learn many things. The most important thing is to learn how to learn. And that is an essential question in the way educational systems work. And the second dimension is many of our education systems are a bet on competitiveness. In many of our education systems, there is a challenge for each student to be better than the other student. And that depends also on the access to jobs and things of the sort. When education should be an instrument for what is more important in today's world. It's not competition. What is more important in today's world is cooperation, is capacity to work together. of different kinds of work. So we need to learn how to cooperate, to value cooperation, and to value solidarity. And the competitiveness of many of our education systems are educating us for the wrong society. Not for a society of solidarity, but for a society of competition. And competition sometimes leads to a conflict. And competition sometimes, the mentality of competition leads to the kind of instability we have in our world. So, we need education as a factor of equality, a trend to reverse. We need education as a factor to prepare us for the future and not for the past, to learn how to learn, and to prepare societies that are societies based on cooperation and solidarity instead of societies based on blind competitiveness among people. So, this summit is an important opportunity to introduce a clear vision of this transformative nature of what we have to do about education. And your declaration is a very important tool to make us move in the right direction. Let's be clear, with business as usual, things will only get worse.